Like, wow, that was whacked.
Hello. Hi, Ghosty fam. Welcome back. We're so glad that you're joining us today at the Activity Continues podcast. If you're new here and this is your first episode, welcome. We are friends and soul sisters who recap episodes of the TV show The Dead Files. We also talk about other creepy shit as well as mundane stuff about our lives. It's really just a gab fest. And then, we go and talk about episodes. Yeah. And I'm Megan.
And I'm Amy. Thanks for joining us again if you've been here before. This week, Megan is recapping the Dead Files episode called The Darkening, and it's from season 6, episode 5, and it originally aired April 30th, 2016. So do you want to tell the friends how you picked this one?
Normally it's ALEXA, where I just am like, hey, give me 2 numbers. But this time I was going through season 6 and I noticed that one of them was in Wausau, Wisconsin, this one. And I went to school in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I went to college there. And so Wausau was like the place you went to because it was like 30 minutes away. So, us poor college kids could get there and back in a day. It's a good little break from studying. They had kind of a good mall. And so, that was where we went.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I did watch this one.
This got me. I cried.
Oh, I cried too. Oh,
man, Clayton, bless his heart. And it's so funny, and we'll get into it, but he's bald with some facial hair and like gauged earrings, so you'd think he'd be like this big tough guy. He is so Softy. Torn up about this. Just a big old teddy bear.
Yeah, he is.
The reveal is one of the few reveals that I actually cried in.
Yeah. I've cried in a couple, but yeah. The other one that really, really got me was the one with the woman whose husband passed away and she made Amy Allen cry.
Yep. And then she's like, I made Amy Allen cry. Yep. Yeah. I know. That was
I'm starting to tear up just thinking about that one.
Let's move on.
If I ever need to be an actor and I need to cry in a scene, all I have to do is think about that episode.
Yes.
And I'm a puddle.
Because she was, oh, bless her heart. She was really going through it.
I would love to know how she's doing now.
Yeah.
Lady from that episode, you know who I'm talking about, I hope. If you're out there, give us a jingle.
Call us. DM us.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we need to move on to the subject that you just like in passing. Yada, yada, I'm just going to set up some D&D stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, what?
I legit thought that I talked to you about this.
No.
So I'd been toying with the idea for a little bit of starting. D&D stands for Dungeons and Dragons for people who aren't hip like I am. Just kidding. I just learned
people that aren't nerds.
Yes. And so I'm like I was kind of looking into it and I'm like, this actually sounds like a game I would really, really enjoy because basically from what I understand, and I've only been like researching this for like a week. So if I'm wrong, I'm not trying to offend anybody. Please educate me. But essentially, so you play with friends, you choose your character. You can be like an elf. You can be like a wizard, a human, all of this. And then you just go on adventures with people. And so it's like, there's a world that the dungeon master either creates or plays. And like you have a goal. So like, let's say your goal is to, I don't know, we'll Super Mario it and rescue the princess. Okay, that's your goal. So then along the way, every time you encounter something, like you have to decide what action you want to do. And then you roll a dice for it. So let's say you're walking in the woods and you encounter a dog. If you pet the dog, you have to make that an action. Do you run away from the dog? Do you try to make the dog your pet? Do you fight the dog? So it's like the cool thing about it is that it seems super fluid. Like you and I could play the exact same world, the exact same time and have 2 completely different experiences. It's not the same as like Monopoly where you start out, you have, which don't get me wrong, I love Monopoly, but I just feel like this is like something really up my alley because I'm super creative. I'm super imaginative. Like going into another world that's like my jam, like reading all of that. And so I got John's friend and his brother would be into it. And so John's friend is the dungeon master, and we were going to get together yesterday and create our characters. But of course I got the plague. And so we didn't, so I was really disappointed about that. But I talked to John's friend on the phone today, and we kind of were setting up a couple of ideas. And so I'm really, really excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when are you going to do that?
Well, I think next week we're going to get together and create our character. And they do give you, like, I bought a kit off of Amazon. It's like the D&D starter kit. It comes with all the, like, a bunch of die, rule books, the playbook, and it comes with a playable world. And it gives you characters that are like kind of pre-started for you. Okay. But I think I'm going to not do that. And I think I'm just going to build my character from the ground up. And to do that, like, you roll, like, for the ability of strength, like, you'll roll for that. She's going to be an elf. I know that. Okay. And I want her to be super aloof because I'm like super friendly. And I'm like, you know what? I want to do something I would never do. Okay. You know, like, I would never be aloof. I would never be a bitch. If I am, it's unintentional. So I'm really, really excited for it.
Good. Oh, that sounds fun.
So we're going to, I think, get together next weekend. And then our first game, like dry run of a game, is going to be February 4th. Okay. So stay tuned. But stay tuned. I honestly thought I had told you about it. So that's why I just like cavalierly threw that comment in. And you were like, D&D what?
Like, do you mean like Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes, D&D? I know. And I told my friend that, and I was on the phone with her, and then she, like, it was silent. And I'm like, hello. And she goes, I'm sorry, I had to put you on mute to laugh at you. And I'm like, that's fair. I'm like, I appreciate the mute. And then you didn't laugh in my face.
Oh, that's funny. I love it.
And then at work, I was talking, and I found out that like 3 people I work with are big into D&D. One of them, she's like, I went over to talk to her, and she brought out her dice, and she's like, you always got to have die. You never know. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I like that I'm hoping that it's kind of like less stigmatized now. Like, you know, you think about D&D and it's like, oh, you guys, you know, are virgins. You've never touched a woman, blah, blah, blah. And I'm really, you know, I'm trying to get away from that. Yeah. Because it's just an RPG, you know, like it's a way to escape for 2, 3, 4 hours. Yeah. It's I think a lot more people are doing it now than like back in the day when it was, because I have a friend who is like big time D&D. Like he creates all the worlds and he runs the games and everything. Yeah. And he makes little figurines and paints them and everything. I mean, it's the whole thing. I joined a Facebook group, and a lot of people do that. They make their own D&D figurines and paint them, and then they play with them, and like, go on. Like, you know, it's not hurting anybody. Right. There's a lot worse things a person could do with their time. You know, exactly. And I thought, you know, this is something John and I can do together for a couple of hours. You know, we'll have to have the little one go stay with Grandpa and Grandma. Yeah. But this would be a way to be John and Megan, the couple, instead of John and Megan, mom and dad. Yeah. And so. Yeah. That's a good idea. I'm really excited. Cool. So what's that. Cool. Cool. Love it. What about you? What's new with you? What's new with me? I had to do the witch workshop. That one. We're still watching Top Chef, and we just finished season 6. And one of the guys on there, his name is Angelo, and he would always say he's Italian. Yeah. He's Italian and Dominican. I never would have gotten that from Angelo. Shocked. And he would, every time he would do the talk to the camera thing, he would say, to be honest with you. And it was always, well, you know, to be honest with you. So that made me think of that. Yeah, so we're still watching Top Chef. We're just started Top Chef All-Stars. No, Masters. So it's like the big time chefs, not like regular normal people, like restaurant chefs, not but like amateur, people you've heard of. Yeah. You know? And nice. So, and that was when the whole show kind of flipped and became what it is today, which is more like everybody that's on it is like, I want to win because I'm the best one, not I'm going to win for turning off someone else's oven or stealing someone's pea puree. Which I hate because that's not winning. That's sabotaging somebody else. Exactly. And then you didn't really win. No, because if you would have given them the pea puree,
Mhm.
their dish could have been better than yours.
Yep.
I
And it
hate
would have
it when
been.
they do that. Yeah.
It would have been. Because in that, the whole season 6, once the pea puree incident happened, that's all everybody talked about. One guy stole the other guy's pea puree, and then he won the dish. And
how can you feel good about that win? Because you cheated.
He was a tool.
He sounds like a tool. Big old tool. And not
tool.
a pureeing tool.
No.
Like a useless tool.
A useless tool. A unitasker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a tool nobody needs.
Right. So this Top Chef Masters is all like, oh, I have a couple extra minutes and I see that guy's in trouble. I'm going to go help him.
That's
and it
why
was
I
so
love
refreshing.
Great British Baking Show.
Yes. Oh, they're so nice on that show. Yeah.
That's
so that
great. But that's how you
That's how
know.
it should be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 minutes. I'm going to go help somebody so that if I do win, I know that it's because I'm purely the better chef.
Yeah.
And not because I sabotage somebody.
Well, and I don't think most of these people cared about winning because they're the best. They just wanted to win. They wanted the $100,000. They don't give a shit if they're actually the best chef or not.
Yeah. And especially when you get to that level, like you already are the best chef. Like, you know that.
Yeah.
Not the best, but you're a really fucking good chef.
Yeah. And a lot of these people were really fucking good.
Yeah.
But and it yeah, so after Masters and when the adults were playing and they actually played fairly. I think after that it was the seasons after that, the regular Top Chef contestants or the chef testants as they called them.
Love it. I love that.
They started, I think they kind of learned from that. Or maybe they were told, quit fucking around. But the seasons got better after that.
Good.
But anyway, that's what we're doing. And then we just finished Slow Horses.
Never heard
It's
of
a
it.
show on Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's Gary Oldman. And Kristen Scott Thomas is in it too.
Why does that name sound familiar?
She was in The English Patient, which I didn't see, but that's what made her famous. You'll know her face when you see her.
Yeah.
And it's Gary Oldman runs an office of spies, and she runs like the big office of spies. It's British.
Mm-hmm.
And
is Gary
MI5.
Oldman British?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. Well, he's been in so many gazillion things and he has 1,000 different accents. So, you wouldn't really know that
Let me
necessarily.
look him up because I feel like I know who you're talking about, but I'm a very visual person. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So anyway, she runs MI5, or she's second desk at MI5. And then Gary Oldman kind of reports to her. And he's got this little group of spies that they've done something wrong at work in some way or another, and they get sent to.
Okay. So he's like the punished
yes.
department. Like you piss someone off, we're going to send you here.
Exactly.
Okay. Poor Gary.
I know.
Give him a break.
So he runs that department, and he is hilarious. I mean, it's not a comedy, but he is so, like, at one point he says to one of his agents who figured something out, he's like, well, obviously they wanted you to figure it out, because if they wanted to keep it hidden, you would never have found it. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
like just super shade. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
You'd probably really like the show. It's good. It's very dark. You really have to pay attention. You can't play on your phone, which is a problem for me.
I was just going to say, that seems like something because you're always like, you watch TV and you play on your phone. Like you do stuff for work or the podcast.
Yep. I usually have to be doing something when I'm watching, but not with this one. Nope. I had to put my phone down and just pay attention, which is a little bit of a struggle, but it's only an hour. We usually watch 2 at a time though.
Yeah.
But it was good. I'm sure I missed some stuff. I don't know that I'm smart enough to really catch everything, but it was really good. And 2 seasons, and there's going to be a 3rd. So that's my TV recommendation. Nice. I really liked it.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Well.
Oh, and
anything else?
Our videos are now on Spotify.
I
mean, our show has been on Spotify since the beginning.
Right.
But they just recently put out whatever part of their platform is that they do video versions. And I only know this because somebody who had expressed an interest on being on our show. He was on someone else's show, and it was I saw like a tweet from him, and it was a video podcast on Spotify. And I'm like, I didn't know they did video. So I looked into it.
Hold up, Spotify.
Yeah. So I looked into it and found that, yes, they do. And so I got us up there, and now I'm just in the process of going through all the old videos and putting them up.
Okay.
And as we do the new videos, I will put those up automatically. But the later stuff it's gonna take some time to get those up.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 new YouTube subscribers.
Not the dog. In addition to the dog?
Yeah, in addition to the dog. We have deaf ghost hunters.
Yay!
Which really are deaf guys that do ghost hunting.
I love it.
And Ghost Cards 78. Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome, welcome.
And then just a little bit of a teaser here for something that's going to come up in the next maybe 6 months, 4, 5, 6 months. I found on Instagram a post where this person said, I had a weird thing that I did this week. I was a sketch artist for the Dead Files. And so I reached out to them and said, hey, we do this show. Would you like to come on and talk about your experience? And they do want to come on, but they can't say anything about the episode until it airs. And it is season 15. That's the next one coming up. Season 15, episode 13. So it's going to be at the end of the run. So
probably
it's probably
a year.
going to be a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did say that he thought it would be airing in 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
So if you figure that and how many episodes, 13 episodes, 1 a week, and you go back to that, you can probably figure out if you're smart. I can't. When it would start, when the new season will be starting. But I got to say, it's driving me nuts on these Facebook groups where people are like, there's no more Dead Files. It's done, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no, there's one more season for sure. There might be more after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's saying, well, no, it's going to be done after that because Amy doesn't want to do it anymore. Well, guess what? Amy's not the only medium in the world.
Right. She's the bestest.
She's my favorite.
Yeah. She's not the only one.
She's not the only one. So what's to say that they're not going to just pick someone new? I don't know.
I wonder.
Anyway.
I know this is not the same, and we got to get to the episode, but I wonder how mediums feel about Gary Spivey.
Gary Spivey?
Haven't you ever heard of Gary Spivey?
I don't think so.
He comes on KDWB all the time.
Oh, I don't listen to
Gary Spivey
commercial radio, so I don't know. His name sounds kind of familiar, though. Is he local?
I don't think he's local, but he's been around for a long, long time. He's got really wacky hair. Oh my God. Okay. Just Google Gary Spivey, Spivey. And you will know him as soon as you see him.
Oh.
Hair.
Okay, so he's wearing basically a
white afro wig.
A coconut cupcake, Hostess what do they call those? Snowballs.
Snowball. Yes.
Snowball on his head. That's what it looks like to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay. No, I don't think that I know him. But
he comes on KDW.
I'm a little intrigued.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Is that a hat or is that supposed to be hair?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, moving right along.
Moving on. Should we just dive on in?
Let's just jump right in after
30 minutes. I don't know how long.
I don't know how long it's been.
Alrighty.
Support for The Activity Continues is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for all your grooming needs. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million individuals worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code ACTIVITY at manscaped.com. Hi friends, do us and yourselves a favor and check out our affiliate, 3 Spirit Drinks. They create plant-based, non-alcoholic elixirs that are cruelty-free and vegan, and they are designed to give you some of the benefits of alcohol without the hangover and other side effects. If you're looking to cut down on alcohol but still want the buzz, check them out. The link is us.3spiritdrinks.com and use the promo code theactivitycontinues for 15% off your entire order. All right, let's go.
We're in Wausau. Steve and Beth. So Beth is the homeowner and she is going blind. She's been going blind since she was 5 years old. She has a degenerative eye disease. And it's just been slowly going, making her blind. Steve asks if she can see him. And she said, well, I can see that your clothes are dark, but you can't really see details. And, Steve asks her, well, how long until you're completely blind? And she says a couple of months. So.
Oh, can you imagine? No, I mean, that's so quick. Think about what you did 2 months ago, and it seems like yesterday.
Yep.
And that's all the time you have left to see things.
And they have 4 kids. So she's got Jeanette, who's 16. She has these, I believe these are with Clayton, her fiance. We have Jeanette, who's 16. Mitchell's 14. Kaylee is 7. And Clayton Jr. is 6. So imagine not being able to see your kids. That's just, bless her. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons I think that Steve was really drawn to this case, that and the kids. Kids are a soft spot for him.
Yeah.
So they bought this place. They moved in 4 months ago. And she said the last 2 places they were at got really intense. And it's happened everywhere they've lived. And they're a little, they're kind of quote unquote trapped here because they bought it. They can't just up and leave like they did the last couple places. So like I said, it's her and her fiance Clayton, and then their 4 kids. Steve asks what kind of activity they hear. And she said, we'll hear stomping, walking up and down the stairs, see dark shadows. We hear voices. She said, you feel like you're being watched 24/7. And she said, it's physical now. People are being grabbed and poked and, it's just not good. She said they all sleep in the living room. Nobody wants to sleep in their room. So at night they will move the coffee table out of the way and just make a big sleeping area.
Sleeping bag on the floor.
Yeah. Puppies on, pile of puppies because they're just so scared.
Oh.
She said she's scared to death of her bedroom. And Steve's like, well, does it help to sleep together? And she said, honestly, no. She said she feels drained. She feels tired. And she said the kids are complaining about stomach aches and headaches. And, Steve is like, well, you're handling this really well. And she said, well, I have to keep my composure for the kids. And Steve says, you're allowed to break down once in a while. This episode, Steve tugged at the heartstrings.
Oh my God. For me too. Yeah.
I cried a couple.
You can tell he really loved this family.
He did. And he did. And he was really getting pissed off about the ghosts and what they were doing. Because
he was very protective of them.
He was. And it was just it
was really sweet.
Steve, I love you so much.
Yeah.
So we go up to the master bedroom. And again, Steve is like, you don't use this room. And it doesn't look like they use it. There's kind of boxes everywhere. They've kind of turned it into almost a storage place. And she goes, you hear people walking back and forth upstairs when everyone is asleep. And Steve goes, you got 4 kids. Could it be the kids? They sleepwalk? And she's like, no, they don't sleepwalk. And she goes, I see lots of shadows. And Steve, I don't blame him for saying this. He's like, not to be a dick, but, you are going blind. Could it be some shadows from your losing your sight? And she said, no, because everybody else sees them. So, I mean, he had to ask it. And it's a valid question.
Yeah, he had to because everybody at home would be asking.
Right.
And going, how come Steve didn't ask?
How come Steve didn't ask? So then we interview Jeanette, the oldest daughter. And this is neither here nor there, but she had the cutest dress on.
I thought that too.
Oh my God. It was this
I was going to text you about her dress. It was
strapless
so cute.
Dress, maybe goes to her knee, lace overlay. It was so cute.
It was kind of vintagey looking.
Yes.
And it was a pretty a
coral,
color.
A coral pink. Yeah. Very 1950s. You put on really a petticoat, cute. Girl, and you are ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was so cute. Some kitten heels, boom, out the door. So, we're interviewing Jeanette again. She's the oldest daughter. She's 16. Steve said that Beth relies on her a lot because she's Beth's second eyes. And, she's the oldest. That's just kind of the role that she's taken on. She says she sees a tall black figure that looks like a human, but it's just a shadow. Steve asks if it's male or female, and she instantly says male, no hesitation. She said it happened just yesterday. She said she was going to sleep. She got the feeling of being watched, turned around, and there was a black figure in front of her door. She screamed and ran downstairs, to which I said, if you were going to sleep upstairs, I thought everybody slept downstairs together. So that kind of threw me.
Maybe she was just trying it out.
Or maybe she was just taking a nap or something. I don't know. So then she said she'll wake up in the morning and she has bruises. And she said she woke up with one this morning and she showed bruise to Steve on her calf. She showed Steve the bruise on her calf. And it was it was probably the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
And Steve was like, well, sweetie, you could have iron deficiency. Like there's many reasons for the bruise. And I'm
Could
like,
it be the
"That's true."
dogs?
It's not the dogs, Steve.
They must not have dogs because he didn't ask.
He never asked about the dogs. Yeah, they don't have dogs.
Dogs.
I would imagine not, because they lived in a rentals and it's really tough to have dogs in rental with 4 kids.
Right.
But you never know.
Yep.
She said it's really hard to sleep. And when she sleeps, she has really horrible nightmares, which...
That made me think of you when you were talking last week about
my Middle East.
Yeah, your Middle East stuff with not being able to sleep with.
Oh my
when
God.
you did, horrible nightmares.
Terrifying.
Aren't you curious what was going on in your place? I mean, now that you're out, it'd be nice to know, I think.
Yeah, I honestly think something was in that place.
Yeah.
Because all of my dreams were always like real life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always like something was coming in through the door, or like I would close the door and then I'd wake up and the cats would be inside the door. And I did not open the door to let the cats in. So, because I had 2 cats over there.
Mm-hmm.
So how did the cats get in the door? And the cats would always like go from a dead sleep and they'd wake up and they'd look always in the same spot in the bathroom.
I swear to God, cats do that just to fuck with you.
They're dicks.
I've had cats do that too.
So anyway, now we get to Kaylee and Clayton Jr. So Kaylee is 7 and Clayton Jr. is 6. Kaylee says she was upstairs in her bedroom and she saw somebody looking through the window and she thinks it was a man. And Steve asks, was it a man like me, an older man, a white man? And Kaylee says he was all black. And then Clayton says he saw downstairs in the window in the kitchen, he saw a black man. He scared Clayton. And then Clayton says when he was asleep, he was getting poked. And Steve put his hand out and said, show me how he was poking me, how he was poking you. And Steve is just so good with the kids, like he's so good with everybody, but especially with the kids, he really like doesn't talk down to them, doesn't condescend them. He like levels with them, It's just so, I loved every part of this episode. It was just really so sweet. Mm-hmm. And he asked if they like living there and they said, no, we really don't. And then we meet Clayton, Beth's fiance. And this is where the heart really he was crying from the get-go.
Yeah.
Tearing up. He was like,
and his voice was breaking so much they had to do captions.
Yes.
Because you couldn't tell what he was saying.
Because he was so emotional. Because he just was so worried about his family. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is our final spot. I want this to be our home. Mm-hmm. Clayton.
I know.
I want it to be our home too.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he's so worried about somebody getting hurt. He said he was sitting. So Steve asked him, what kind of experiences you've had? And he said he was sitting down watching TV, just sitting in his chair. And he said something walked right past him. He said it was tall, about 6 feet, dark in the middle with a light glow around it. So he got out of his chair and walked into the kitchen, walked in the garage. There was nobody there. He said this was shortly after his brother died. He said he lost his mother and his brother very close together. And then he really starts to cry. And he says he's lost 9 family members in 2 years.
Isn't that nuts? I mean, this is like the Banshee stuff from last week. Even though there wasn't a Banshee last week. It just, they just thought it was. But yeah, it sounds like like something like that.
Yeah. Well, we get to it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then he thought the shadow person could be one of his family members, He's just so emotional, and Steve is like, it's okay. Like, this is why we're here. He puts his hand on his shoulder, gives him a hug. I think he even gave him a hanky because he had a hanky that he was using. Yeah. He had a white hanky. He just gave him a big bear hug, and he just smells like cologne and cigars. I know I say this every time.
Megan's fantasizing a little bit.
I am. I just need a cold shower. I just love Steve. So he just seems like he'd be such a fun guy.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways. Okay. Moving on. So now we go and we meet local author Sean Blackshaw. And he informs us that Beth and Clayton's land used to be home to a fly swatter factory, as one is.
And Steve kind of chuckles a little when he says it, but then he's like, it's not funny, but.
It's not funny, but it kind of is. So Arthur Hurd and George Wilson bought the property in 1908, and in 1910, the factory was built. And then we have a picture of the factory, and then I think I put it in the drive. Okay. I tried. If not, I will. So in 1911, George Wilson left the company and Arthur Hurd was kind of left in charge of it. And he really struggled. He didn't have the expertise that Wilson had, which I don't know what expertise is required to be a fly swatter factory, but maybe it's more in depth than we
Any
know.
kind of factory, it probably takes a bit of expertise to run.
Yeah, I mean, I would think definitely some business acumen.
Yeah.
And maybe Hurd didn't have that. I don't know. You know,
maybe he was just the money guy.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. And anyways. And then February 3rd, 1925, Hurd had a heart attack at the site and passed away. Heart attack. So then we've got digging through the archives and we got a montage of, he's got a magnifying glass. Stephen.
I know.
Who is in the library with a magnifying glass?
Steve, he doesn't have young eyes.
Stephen.
It's so funny. Some of the people that are my age or around my age or older, they need to put their glasses on to see things. I have to take my glasses off to see things close up. I'm the opposite. Like I can't see, like right now, the screen that I'm looking at the notes I took when I was watching this. I can't even read them because it's all blurry.
Yeah. Wow.
But if I took my glasses off, oh no, it's worse. But
if I took my glasses off, it's actually worse.
It's actually worse.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I do have another pair of glasses that I usually use when I'm on the computer, but I forgot.
You have your cheaters, your reader.
Yeah. Well, no, they're actually regular glasses that I had. My very best eye exam and pair of glasses that I ever got was in 2014. And those glasses are still better than 10 glasses I've had between them then and now. So I wear those when I'm on the computer because I can see better.
Children, that's how you know you get old. You have a favorite pair of glasses.
Yep.
Okay. So one thing we found out is there was a massive mental asylum and a poor farm operated on that land for nearly 80 years. Mm-hmm. And a poor farm, I think, is essentially a place where people who have debts go if they can't pay off their debts, if that's correct.
Let me just googly
we're going to Google it. In the words of Jillian from True Crime Obsessed, we're going to give it a Goog.
I don't even watch that show, and I always say I'm hitting the Googs.
First of all, it's not a show; it's a podcast.
Well, it's a show.
True Crime Obsessed.
Yeah, it's a show.
But you don't watch the show.
Oh, did I say watch?
You did.
Oh, sorry. Listen to the show.
What's your podcast? Can I watch it? What channel is it on?
It's on the tubes of you.
It's on is it on the internet?
It's on the internet.
Do I go to the internet to watch your podcast?
But you can watch a podcast on that. I don't know about them. I don't know if they have a video component.
They're on TikTok.
Oh, I follow one of the ladies from one of those on TikTok.
Ellen Marie Marsh?
Yes.
I love Ellen Marie
She's hilarious.
Marsh. And she's like in the groups that she's in, she responds to comments. Like when I was having my child, I commented, like, I'm in labor listening to, Obsessed with Disappeared. It's getting me through it. And she commented, let's see a picture of your baby when they're born. Yes.
Oh,
I know.
That's so sweet.
She's the best.
Did you see her? She was on a game show on the regular television, a real show.
I think they just talked about that.
She was on, it was a couple of months ago I saw it. Oh, maybe more than that now. But
time is a construct anyway.
Yeah, that's right. But she was a contestant. It was one where it was a trivia show where they all stand in a circle and they all go, I don't remember the name of the show. I'll find it and pop it in the show notes. But it was, so they go around asking questions and then it's kind of like the weakest link, or maybe it was the weakest link. I think it was the weakest link.
Was Jane Lynch the show?
Yes.
Then it was the weakest link.
It was the weakest link. Okay, got it.
Oh my God,
the weakest link she was on.
I love her.
Yeah, I do too.
And every fan that's met Ellen has said that she is like the most genuinely sweetest person.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good to know. I'm glad she's not a dick because I really like her.
I know. I hate it when you like someone and you find out they're dicks. And then you're like, I can't like you anymore.
Like last week when we found out about Mr. Affleck. Gross. Not that it's a surprise. I shouldn't be surprised.
No, why are you surprised?
I don't know. I had such high hopes for my movie star boyfriend, but it's okay. I broke up with him. It's Paul Rudd now, so.
Good.
We're all good.
All right. So what are we Googling? Oh, poor farm.
That's back 20 minutes ago. We talked about.
We don't have ADHD. Okay.
This podcast is a lesson in ADHD. Like they should play it in psychology classes.
Yeah, they should.
Anyway, a poorhouse or workhouse is a government-run facility to support and provide housing for the dependent or needy.
Oh, so it's like a shelter.
Yeah, it's a
shitty one.
Well, that's a poor house, but then I also see a poor farm.
Poor farm. That's what this is.
Yeah, a farm maintained at public expense for the support and employment of needy persons. So it's kind of the same thing, but it sounds like they work it.
Okay.
People who live there work on the farm.
So it's a good concept, but like many good concepts, I feel like it's poorly executed.
Yeah, probably.
So anyway, Steve reached out to a local reporter who said this place was filled with, quote, neglect, abuse, and death. Coming in hot. But I feel like when we have a mental asylum from like the olden days, it's never a good thing.
No, they warehoused people.
Yeah,
they did not. It was not for the betterment of them. It was a dumping
ground for live bodies that just weren't dead yet, essentially.
Right. It was in all those places. Because like I know we talked about one that was here, Faribault, and it was basically like for people that had children who were developmentally delayed, Down syndrome, whatever, and they would just send them off there so they didn't have to think about it anymore.
Yep. Which, great.
Disgusting.
So then we meet reporter Keith Uhlig. I hope I'm saying that right. It's Uhlig, Uhlig.
Probably.
So he said the asylum was close to the property line. It was built in 1893 and it was operating for about 78 years. Housed up to 300 people, people who are schizophrenics, manic depressants, the elderly, basically people society didn't want to deal with, like we said, He said in 1950s, the superintendents came under investigation by the Marathon County DA for several issues. And when I was watching this, I was like, Marathon County, that sounds familiar. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I know that.
I am familiar with Wausau, Wisconsin.
This area. Smart in other ways. So they came under investigation for several issues, including overcrowding conditions, limited staffing. And it came out that there were hundreds of people at this location. Remember, he said up to 300 people. Mm-hmm. They had 4 bathtubs.
Mm-hmm.
4.
That's disgusting.
For hundreds of people. So they said there were 5 unusual deaths. Now, I know I'm not a math person.
I had a problem with this too.
But I'm like, my math ain't mathin'. Math ain't mathin'.
No.
So the first death is in 1895 where an inmate hung himself. That's all we get on that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be rude, but I mean, I'm not discounting this person's death, but that doesn't seem unusual to me in an asylum where the living conditions were probably shit.
Yeah.
4 bathtubs for hundreds of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm honestly surprised it's not more than that.
And they did say, and we talk about that a little bit later. He said that towards the end, Keith said nurses reported that they didn't even bother keeping records of people. Mm-hmm. So they said once people arrived, they just expected them to be there forever until they died.
Yeah.
So then in 1899, 3 men asphyxiated while working in a silo on the farm. So I know. So here we're at 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then sorry to keep referencing this, but Patrick from True Crime Obsessed was saying how silos basically are quicksand.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. So if you are in a silo, it sucks you down to the bottom.
Yep.
So that's probably what happened to these poor men.
Yeah, it's horrible, horrible death. Oh, really, really horrible. It's quicksand. It's drowning, basically. Or suffocating, I guess.
Yeah. So then in 1903, a 37-year-old inmate was stabbed to death by an 85-year-old inmate over living quarters, to which I texted Amy and said, if I can still stab a 37-year-old to death at 85, it's pretty good.
Yeah, you're kind of winning.
Yeah. What are they going to do? He's already in an insane asylum.
I know.
What's the worst they could do? Send him to jail? That'd probably be an improvement.
I know.
So what's that? Now we're at 5, guys.
Yep, that's 5.
That's 5.
But wait, there's more.
In 1920, a man named John Q told nurses he was going fishing by the river. I don't know why they included this, but they said he had a wooden leg. Mm-hmm. And he took off his wooden leg, tied an anchor to his waist, and threw himself in the river. Mm-hmm. Gross. That to me, honestly, drowning is the worst way to die.
I think it would be, although I've heard that it's very peaceful, but I don't know how anybody would know.
Once you're unconscious, I'm sure it's peaceful, but those 2 minutes or however
where you're
long
gasping
it takes,
for breath. Yeah.
No, goodbye. No, thank you. And then, so we're at 6 now, and now we're lucky number
6 of the 5 deaths.
6 of the 5. Now we've got to 7. This is rough.
Yeah.
1933, an inmate laid down on a stick of dynamite and blew himself up.
Mm-hmm.
What? That just goes to, I mean, I feel like that goes to show you how poor the conditions were at this place. Yeah. Somebody would rather blow up than live there.
Or drown in.
Drown. And I'm sure they had mental illness too. Like, I'm not saying that it's only because of that, but
right. And I have some questions. Why are inmates allowed access to dynamite and knives and given the ability to wander off the property and drown themselves?
Okay, for the knives, I'm assuming it wasn't like a knife. He probably made a shank, I would assume.
Okay. Or maybe he worked in the kitchen or something.
Yeah, or he worked in the kitchen or something.
Okay. But why are they wandering off? Like, I told the nurses he was I'm just going to go drown myself down at the river. I mean,
well, I feel like because it's not really a jail.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not good.
No.
So there we had 7 of the 5 deaths we just recapped for you.
Keith Ewing, he's great reporter, but not so good at math.
You know what? We all have strengths. Okay.
I mean, I think he means 5 incidences.
Yeah.
But still. He said 5 deaths.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right, Keith. So then we go to Detective Greg Hagenbutcher, and there's a name for you. Yeah.
That is a name.
So we talk about a brutal murder because it's not a Dead Files show if there's not a brutal murder. Mm-hmm. April 18th, 1966, we have Mary Holtzum. She was 26, walking home from church. She meets Eugene Schopf. Oh, maybe it is Schaff.
I can't remember how they said his name.
I can't either. He's 29 and it's raining that night. And so Eugene drives up alongside of her and is like, hey, Mary, do you want a ride? And she was like, why, sure, Gene, I would love a ride, is what I imagine the interaction was between them. So they go to a bar, they have a couple of drinks, they leave the bar, and that's the last time she was seen alive. Mm-hmm. There was a rumor that Eugene was infatuated with her. He made an advance to her. She resisted. He stabs her several times and she started screaming. So he cuts her throat to stop the screaming because obviously, what else are you going to do?
I mean, it works.
Yeah. So does not stabbing someone, but
exactly.
Call me crazy. So the death certificate states, quote, male subject seduced the victim to a secluded spot for his act. And I really hate that. I don't know why, but I hate that wording. He didn't seduce her.
No, he forced her, I'm sure.
He forced her. Yeah. It wasn't like he was like, come with me, baby. And she was like, ooh, Gene. No.
Yeah. No.
So don't romanticize this. Yeah. And I know it's not them. It's the death certificate from 1966. But
yeah. But honestly, I've never seen anything like that on a death certificate. The death certificate is the
manner of death.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't not the scenario where it came. And how do they know? Did he say, oh, I seduced her? Like, she wasn't there to say what happened.
And are we really going to take the word of a murderer?
Exactly.
Oh, she came on to me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, it is.
So the homicide occurred about a quarter of a mile from Beth's house. And so Steve was like, they caught this guy. How'd they get him? Police received a call at 10:45 the night of the murder that there was screaming coming from an area. So they go to the bar, they talk to the bartender, and the bartender was like, yeah, Mary was here with Eugene, and they left. So they go to Eugene's house. They find blood in the trunk of his car because once he had killed her, he had stuffed her body in the trunk of his car and then disposed of her. Mm-hmm. He confesses to killing her, and he's charged with first-degree murder. Here's where it gets real fun, you guys. Mm-hmm. He pleads not guilty by reason of insanity. In 1954, he was in the army. He had asked military doctors for help because he said he had thoughts of slicing the throats of animals. He did kill animals, and he said he might hurt a woman. Mm-hmm. and they did nothing.
Pretty much laid it all out for them and nothing.
He literally said, I want to murder women.
Mm-hmm.
I have these thoughts. And they were like, that's really unfortunate. Anyway, here's your deployment.
Yeah.
I mean, Mary could have, anyways.
Yeah.
So then Steve goes, this guy's got the markings of a serial killer, especially with the animals.
Mm-hmm.
He does, Steve.
That's right.
And I would be willing to bet that he was either obsessed with fire or he wet his bed.
Yep.
The trifecta.
Yep.
July 1966, so just a couple of months after Mary's death, he is found not guilty by reason of insanity, committed to a state mental institution in Waupun, Wisconsin. Don't worry, though. He got released in the early 1970s, moved to Alabama, and died in 2002 at the age of 65.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's great.
Yeah. So what did he serve then? Somewhere around 15?
Not even
20 years at the most?
No, because he committed the crime in 1966. Released in the early 70s. He didn't even commit 10 years.
I was looking at 1954. That was when he was in the military.
Yeah,
okay.
He didn't even serve 10 years for killing a woman.
Like,
confirmed, he has confirmed mental issues.
Yeah.
Didn't even serve 10 years.
No. And I wonder if there's any speculation. I meant to look him up and see if there was any stories about him.
Mm-hmm.
But because I wonder if he ever did anything else.
He had to have. He had to have. You don't start out killing somebody that brutally, stabbing her multiple times and slitting her throat.
Yeah.
You don't do that right away.
No.
You work up to that.
Right. Because, obviously with all the animal stuff, so he's got this background.
Yep.
He's got mental illness on top of it.
Yep.
And then, which actually that could be part of it. Yeah.
What his childhood was like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I would bet money that he has done this before. That's the only time he got caught.
And I bet he did it since when he got out.
Yep. I would wonder, I'm sure you were alluding to this. I wonder if there's any unsolved murders.
In
Alabama.
In Alabama.
He lived.
Mm-hmm. From 1970 or whatever.
Along the trail from Wisconsin to Alabama when he was moving down there. Check maybe mid 70s.
Yep.
Women stabbed, throat slit.
Yep.
Anyways.
Yep.
It's great. Okay, so now we move on to Amy, and she arrives at the location. She said there's a lot going on. She said there's a lady here who's giving her a bad vibe, claiming to be death or associated with death. And then she said there's a jerk, and he's not happy she's here. He said something to her about stabbing her in the eye with needles. So, good start.
Mm-hmm.
She walked in the living room, and she said somebody kept yelling "Dyer" over and over again.
Dyer. Somebody keeps yelling that. Okay.
She said there's somebody in the house who is affected by the energy. She said it's making them disoriented. They can't function. And it's making them feel sick and feel drained. And if you remember, that's everybody, especially Beth. She said she really feels sick and drained. She just doesn't have any energy.
Yep.
Amy said that Death Lady is happy. She said she seems excited and enthusiastic, and she wants Amy to go upstairs. And she tells Amy she has a lot of business in this area, which Amy says assumes that means a lot of people have died or die around there very often. And if you think, Clayton lost a lot of family members in a short period of time. Amy had a really tough time with this walk. She got to the top of the stairs, and she was leaning on the banister and an end table, like she was going to be sick. She was exhausted.
And I think, didn't she say, oh my God, I think I might have to leave soon?
Yeah.
Oh God.
You all right?
I think I might have to leave soon.
What's going on?
The guy.
What is he doing to you?
He keeps touching me and making me feel sick.
And then Amy does a voiceover, and she talks about how most people think of the Grim Reaper as this kind of skeleton person thing. But she said death can project itself any way it wants to. And she said for some reason it's showing itself to Amy as a short woman with a wide hat. So the woman that she saw is actually death. So then they go into the master bedroom, remember, where nobody sleeps because they're afraid of that. And she said it's really hard to breathe in there. She said lots of crying, hyperventilating, freaking out. Matt asks if she's referring to the living, and Amy said, oh yeah, bad stuff all around in here. So then we go into Jeanette's room. And remember, Jeanette's the oldest daughter who gets the bruises.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Death Lady's a lot in here. She comes in through the door in the closet. And she said, the creepy guy comes in here too. Matt asks if anybody has seen him. And Amy says, well, he's pretty fucking strong. So yeah. She said, Amy sees a girl, a teen, who is getting choked. And she assumes it's Creepy Man choking her. Mm-hmm. He is influencing this girl, putting bad thoughts in her head to do things to herself that are not good. And this made me wonder how many people who have taken their own life did so because they were haunted or being influenced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't know.
Makes you think. One line that Amy said that I absolutely loved, it was probably my favorite line she's ever said. She said,
Death cannot intervene, can only watch. Wait.
And I thought that was so cool. Because, you think death isn't there to be malicious. It's just waiting for you to die. Yeah. It can't kill you. It's just waiting. Anyways, Matt asks, why is creepy guy doing this? Choking the girl, influencing her. And Amy says, because he's an evil lunatic. She thinks that she has to leave soon because the guy is touching her and making her feel sick. And Matt asks if this is something he does to the living too. And Amy said, yeah, it's possible. Because again, this guy's really, really strong. And she says that a couple of times, how strong this person is. Well, ghost entity, not person. So then we go to the basement and Amy is, oh my God, she's really struggling. You can even see her. She's whimpering as she's going downstairs.
Yes, she whimpered and she moaned a lot.
Yep.
She was in a lot of pain.
She was really struggling.
Illness. Yeah.
Yep. So she says the energy down here, it's almost like you can grab it. It's so thick. She said the creepy guy from upstairs likes it down here too. He just likes it everywhere. Like anywhere where people are and he can like influence them. Yeah. That's his jam.
Yeah.
He said he's influencing living people and he's really good at making physical connections with people. Very strong. And he's making them all sick. So then we go outside and Amy says when she first arrived, she saw a very different structure than this one. She said the structure seemed large. She thinks it had bricks. And she said, there's a guy who's really agitated. He's very high strung and feels like this is his territory. And he had to fight really hard for it. She said he's not dealing with his death well. She said he died from a stroke or a heart attack.
A heart attack.
She asks how the male died, and he said a death camp. So this must be a different male from the poor farm, because that seems like what they would think a death camp.
Yeah.
So then we go inside and we're back in the basement, and I assume that they're just breaking up the walk. I assume that Amy didn't, but she might have taken a break from the basement, gone outside and gone back to the basement. She sees a man and a woman. The man is the creepy guy. And she said, it's so bad. They knew each other when they were alive. She said the woman is always trying to get away from him still, even in death. Amy says that her heart is the woman's heart is racing because she's got to get away from him. She's really stressed out. Amy thinks that the woman died here, and Amy saw knives. She said she saw somebody messing with knives. She said the creepy guy didn't die that long ago. He was maybe in his early 50s, does not like animals, hates animals. He said children are pests. Women are pests. They're bad, evil, evil creatures. She sees a 5 and a 4. She said, so maybe 54. And then she said he's evil and he wants nothing good for anybody. Then we go to the sketch, and she said there were 2 main entities that she drew. She said the first one was a creepy man choking the living teenager in the house. And then she also drew how death showed herself to Amy. So we go to the reveal with Beth and Clayton. Amy states that she wasn't looking forward to the walk. She said as soon as she walked through the door, she heard someone yelling, "Dyer, Dyer, Dyer." Upstairs, she said she got so sick up there. She felt drained. She felt horrible. Beth again reiterates, she said, I get a lot of headaches, and she gets so tired she doesn't want to do anything. Beth says she has no get up and go. And then Clay also says that the kids get stomach aches and headaches. And then Steve asks, well, Beth, tell us about, this has followed you. And Beth said, yeah, she's felt this way in the last 2 places they lived. She said it starts out little and then it intensifies to the point where it gets physical and they have to leave. Beth starts crying and Clayton starts crying, and then they have to stop recording because Beth gets up and Clay gets up. They're both crying. They come back to the bed. They come back to the what kind of show is this?
This was a very special episode where, yeah.
So they come back to the table, and this Steve got me here because they're both like, I'm so sorry. And Steve is like, I don't give a shit about the cameras.
Right.
He's like, you need to stop. You tell me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, God, Steve, like you can tell too. He is like genuinely concerned for these people, and he genuinely cares. And he's like, I don't give a fuck about the cameras. Like, fuck them all.
Yeah.
Like, if you need a break, we'll stop for an hour. We'll stop for a minute, however long you fucking need.
Yeah, I know.
And then Beth says, it was just really hard talking about those places. And Steve says, that's okay. That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Steve.
I would love to know more about what happened in those two places, but I wouldn't ask her because she doesn't want to talk about it. But
and Clay is, I would maybe ask Jeanette.
If Beth or Clay would like to come on and talk about this some more
We'll
with us,
here.
We would love it.
I love you guys so much.
I really love this family.
Yeah, I do too. They're probably one of my favorites, honestly. Beth says, before they stop, Clay just breaks down. He goes, I was so excited to have my own home. You can tell he wants so much for his family, and he's, I'm sure it's the whole, I can't protect them. Like, how do you protect your family from something you can't see?
Yeah.
Beth said the previous places they lived, there were always lots of shadows. And she said she would see the shadows reach out for the kids.
Oh, God.
And that to me is, Amy asks if this kind of stuff has happened throughout Beth's life. And Beth says, yeah, it has.
And that's when I was like, I bet she's a physical medium.
She's something, but they never go into it.
No, they don't.
Amy says you have abilities because Steve asks if the creepy guy is following Beth. And Amy said it could be he's attracted to her because she has abilities, and then we never hear more.
Yep.
And maybe she told Beth about him and Beth didn't want to share.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So Amy said there are two main entities in the house that she's most concerned with. And first she talks about the female. She said she's death. She interacts directly with the living, wanted Amy to go upstairs. And Amy thinks she's causing a lot of the living stress. People would see her as a silhouette with a hat. And if you remember, I believe it was Jeanette who said that she saw a man with a hat. So it could have been her. After Amy mentions death, Steve asks Clay how many people he's lost in the last year, and his voice breaks with every single person. He lost his mother, his brother, his aunt, his uncle, his cousin. So then they show sketch one of the woman, and they show it to her, and Clay starts sobbing.
Yeah.
And you can't even understand. He has to talk in gasps. And he said, do you have the picture of my mom? They're identical. I got literal chills.
I know. I did too.
And I sobbing, just crying.
Yeah.
Because oh my God, I wanted to hug him so much. They're identical.
Yeah.
And they'll be wherever Amy puts our stuff because she does that. But
in the video, it'll be right here.
And then you can just tell like Amy is just like so like they both feel for them. And Amy said, I don't think this was done in a malicious manner. She said she thinks that death is acknowledging what happened by taking on this familiar guise. And so it wasn't done to be malicious because honestly, personally, I don't think death is good or evil.
Right.
That's just is
doing its job.
Yeah. It's not like a spirit where it's mean. It just exists. And to death, maybe the fact that, his mother he was closest to his mother or she was the most recent loss. That's the form that death took on. And
just to get attention.
Yeah.
Because if it showed up as a skeleton in a hood with a sickle, it wouldn't mean anything to that family specifically. Right. But showing up looking like mom,
grandma or mom.
Did.
Yeah. Oh, Clay. I mean, it was honestly like he was struggling.
It was, yeah.
It was heartbreaking.
It was
heartbreaking.
It was hard to watch. And when he shows the picture and they show Amy, she's just like got a hand over her face and she's like floored.
I know. And when they showed the picture of this woman, you guys, my jaw dropped. I literally gasped. And this was before we saw Clayton's mom. It was just so jarring, this picture of death. Very like high pronounced cheekbones, long face, no eyes. It looked like a woman except for the eyes. Even Beth goes, I don't like the eyes. Same Beth, I don't either.
Yeah, and he Steve gave her a little flashlight, and so she could light up the picture and hold it real close to her eyes so she could see it.
I loved that.
Yeah, it was sweet.
God, Steve.
The hits keep coming.
So then Amy also encountered a male. She said, this guy is no good. He was a bad person when he was alive. He's still a bad person now. Amy's opinion is that he's an evil lunatic. She said she initially ran into him in the kitchen chasing a female. This carried over from when they were alive. So almost like it was residual, where she's running from him. That was me, not Amy. She said Amy experienced her death in her heart or chest area, and Amy was being shown a lot of knives. The only clear thing that Amy got from him is that he hates animals and that women are evil. She got 2 numbers from him, 5 and 4, and she said they're extremely important to him. And that's where Steve talks about the murder of Mary and says in 1954, Gene reached out in the army and asked for help. He told them he had slashed the throats of animals and wanted to do that to a woman. And they were like, that's cool, bro. But bye.
Yeah.
So Amy says that he can't attack the living. People would see him. And Amy says he just wants to torment people. And then Amy said that she had a sketch done of what he's doing to a living female. And Amy thinks the crazy evil man is focused on Jeanette. And it shows a girl laid in bed and the man is over choking her while death is on the side. It's so eerie.
It's really creepy.
It's so creepy. And, she tells him his intentions are the same intentions he had when he was alive, to do harm, to hurt people. So this is actually like the easiest to fix it that I'd ever heard. And they probably edited so much out. But essentially all they really need to do is find a really big, bad, scary male medium to come in and kick his ass out. Once they've done that, they'll set up a barrier around the property to keep out the dead. And then Steve asked, will death leave when, once that's gone? Like, how do they get rid of death? And she said, once that guy is out, death is gone. So the follow-up, Beth and Clay decided to move, and Beth is feeling better, and the activity has not followed them.
That's good.
Yeah. But this one just got me right in the feels, as the
I
kids
know.
say.
I know. I did note one thing before they were done with the reveal, before Amy talked about what needed to be done. Steve said about this murder guy, if he was alive today, I'd kick him right in his friggin' ass.
I was hoping he said balls. That would hurt more.
Oh, maybe
than
he did
ass.
say balls. It's friggin' beep.
Yeah. So I think balls would hurt more than ass, especially for men. Just kick them right in their friggin' balls.
Yeah.
And then cut them off. I know. This guy, he was. This was a good one.
Yeah.
I really hope they found some peace. I hope they did. I'm sure by now, Beth is probably fully blind. This was 7 years ago.
Yeah. I'll have to search around the
internets,
the Facebook groups and see if she's in any of them.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jennifer.
And we're the hosts of Haunted or Hoax, a paranormal investigation podcast where we investigate the legends, not the ghosts.
Our locations range from houses down in Savannah, Georgia, but like how many bodies is too many bodies,
Probably.
Are you putting a number on it?
Farmsteads up in rural New York. He just runs out into the lake and drowns himself, a la Virginia Woolf.
To hotels in West Virginia.
And then the next morning, he told the front desk how noisy the people in 409 were, and the staff said he was the only one on that floor.
But what if he really wasn't? Like, what if they were just messing with him?
Right.
Like, it's Adam. Let's fuck with him a little bit.
Plus, once a month, we get together and go on a ghost tour and bring the legends and history to you.
And having candy thrown off the shelves towards you sounds more like a teenager than a small child.
Yeah, because a small child would just stuff it right into their ghostly cheeks and run away. That's what I would do.
Join us every Tuesday as we discuss the legends, history, and experiences from haunted locations.
Available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Bye.
Hey, listeners! My name is Kayla, and I am the creator and host of a new podcast called Dark Tales from the Road. We cover true crime, spooky, creepy, and ghostly stories, and I want to take you state by state and country by country to bring you stories you may not have even heard of before, and also learn some history on the city and the state where it takes place. So join me on the road as we discover dark tales. New episodes are posted every Wednesday. I have an Instagram, Facebook, and a Patreon, all at Dark Tales from the Road. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Your hair looks cute today,
Thanks.
by the way. It's
This
nice
is
and
called
curly.
Megan washed it, and then went to bed because she was so sick she couldn't stand anymore.
Well, it looks really cute. It's nice, big, full curls. I love it.
Thanks.
Especially when you
Maybe
flip it
she's
around
born
like-
with it. Maybe it's influenza.
Oh, funny.
How do you get lush hair? Well,
I throw up a few times.
I throw up and shit out my ass, and here we go. As opposed to shitting out anywhere else. No. Really, I shit out my mouth. That sounds like a personal.
Gross. I mean,
This took a turn I was not expecting.
we're going to have to trigger warning, talk about barf.
Trigger warning, fecal and barf.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us? Oh, no, that's you. Do you want to ask me to tell you what's going on next week?
You want to tell us that's you. Yes. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, for this
Thank you.
chaotic ride that we call this podcast. Amy, what are we expecting next week?
Well, next week, we are going to be recapping the episode called Death and Dolls. It is all the way back to season 1, episode 4, originally aired on October 14th, 2011.
Close to my
And-
birthday and your birthday.
It's close to just
Both
3
of
days,
us.
4
It's
days away from my
It's like
birthday.
right in the middle of our birthdays.
It is. So our listener, the Scarlet and Grey Witch, we talked about her and her dog on the last episode because they joined us on YouTube.
YouTube.
I had a brain fart there. Anyway, she suggested to us via Twitter that we should do this one because she thought we would have some things to say about it. And boy, do we. I just watched it again. I didn't watch the whole thing. I started watching it again yesterday and I was like, oh dear Lord. So because this listener wanted to know what Megan and I thought, we're going to do this a little bit different. I'm still going to present it. I'll take the notes and do the pictures and all that. But Megan's going to watch it too. And that way she can pipe up and make her own jokes about this.
Which will be really
situation.
rare because
It never happens.
I'm usually so quiet. Amy's like, can you please participate in the podcast? And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. Okay. So it's time for an Alanism.
Alanism.
Would you like to throw me a number?
Yes,
between
let's
1
do
and 89?
number 6 because that was the season that this episode was.
Oh, good. Okay. Number 6. You know what? This is really bizarre. When I opened up the document and I started flipping through it, that's the one that I read. That's the one that I saw first. And then I scrolled all the way down to the bottom.
God.
And you said 6. I scroll up and it's that one.
Wow.
That's bizarre.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
Alan, are you here?
Yeah.
He is. He's always here.
Look right in here.
They're right there. Why am I showing him what a microphone looks like? He probably invented them. He's like, please, I got this.
It's not that old. Okay. I don't know what this means. I don't know what it's in reference to,
Okay.
but here it is.
Good segue.
My moral staunchhood.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there was a conversation, and that's just how we.
How we ended
Maybe
it?
Jackie would know. Jackie, if
Yeah.
you're listening, let us know what the hell that means.
Yeah.
But it sounds
I
like
got
something he
nothing.
would say. Okay, this is Amy. I reached out to Jackie and asked her what that phrase meant, my moral staunchhood. And here's her reply. She said, I am not able to find the exact timing of that famous saying. I think it was his way of saying, or trying to say, his innate moral sense of right and wrong, that there were things that he absolutely believed. Yeah.
Oh, that Alan.
Oh, Alan.
Oh, you crazy Alan.
Oh, Alan. Okay, so, yeah. Oh, I didn't say before this. For any of you who are new here and don't know, Alanisms have nothing to do with Amy Allen.
No.
Alan is my father, who passed away in 2019. And he was a radio guy, TV guy, broadcasting. He's in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame here in Minneapolis. And maybe I'll do a post on him at some point and just
I think you
put his
should.
picture up and a little background on him and stuff. Yeah, I'll do that.
I think you should.
Anyway,
the world deserves to know.
Yeah. So at any rate, yeah, he said weird things. He had in his later years memory issues, and I don't know if it was dementia or Alzheimer's. He was never clearly diagnosed, but yeah, he said some weird things.
And then your stepmom.
And then my
documented
stepmom,
them.
Jackie, wrote everything down.
How
And
long were they married?
Oh, let me see.
It was a long time, wasn't it?
It was a very long time. It was because they got married when I was in 9th grade.
So you
which
would be
have made
15.
Me, yeah. So
38 years.
wow. Okay. Yeah.
That's how old I am.
Long time.
Yeah.
Longer than my mom and he were married. Anyway, so yeah, that's what this is. We're not making fun of him.
No.
He loved it. when
We're
Jackie would
honoring
read
him.
things back. Yes.
When we went to the medium, Jenny, she
Mhm.
said Amy's dad was there and he loved that she was doing the podcast.
Yeah.
So we thought to ourselves, the best way we can include Amy's dad is to include him in the podcast.
Yeah.
So
that's what that
where
is.
we would never make fun of him.
No.
He's the best.
And even if we did, he would love it because it's
True.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably made fun of himself more than anybody else did.
He really did. He made fun of himself all the
Yeah.
time. So that's what we got for you guys this week.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks, everybody.
See you
Bye.
next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please reach out if you have a suggestion for which episode of the Dead Files we should cover next, or if you have a spooky story you'd like us to share on the show. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com or through our website or any of our socials. Links are all in the description of the show. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when the activity continues. The Activity Continues is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media and is part of the independent Collected Sounds Podcast Network. We are also proud members of the Boo Pod network of super cool podcasts.
Nailed it.